Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Donis Kim, and I'm the CEO of the Advanced Cyber Entertainment, and which is located in the near Frankfurt, Germany. And then, since I'm Korean, and I'm doing a bridge role between the Korea and the Europe, and I'm also working for the G-Star as the ambassador for their brand. Okay, so today I'm going to wrap up a little bit of the overview of the Korean market, Korean especially mobile game market, and then I will give you some the slight facts of the G-Star as well. And as you see that out of the total gaming market, the Asian market accounts for about 47% of the whole worldwide market, and then out of that, China accounts for the 25%, and then which is a little bit larger than the United States, and then right now the market share is growing really fast. And then also about half of them are the mobile game, and then Korea is account for about a little bit less than the $10 billion. So this is Korean the mobile game market, and then out of the whole world, the Asian mobile game market is very dominant, and it is around 25 billion US dollar worth. And whereas the USA market is only the 7 billion, and the Europe is 2.4 billion. So in the Asian market, mobile game is really dominating. And then out of the mobile game sales, the three countries, the China, Japan, and Korea is really major player. Definitely China is the largest market with 11.4 billion US dollar worth, and Japan is about 8 billion, 7.8 billion US dollar, and Korea is around the size of the 3.2 billion dollar volume of the mobile game market. And then in the Korean, out of the Korean gaming market, mobile game is around 36% of the total gaming market, and still online game is around 45.9%. So still in the Korean market, the online game is very popular and then very dominant, but the mobile gaming is growing very fast. And regarding the Korean top ranking gamings, top Google Play sales in Korea, average daily sales by ranking is that the first one sells around 740,000 copies, and then the downloads, and then the second to third around 360,000 downloads, and the 4th to 10th ranking games is around 100,000 games downloads per day. So this the rest around 300 to 400 ranking games daily download is about 300 to 500 downloads per day. Okay, and then in the Korean market is pretty much the Google dominant market, Android dominant, because of the Samsung, LG, and all those Korean mobile phone brands. So in Korean mobile gaming market, the people download the game from Google around 60%, and then out of the App Store around 25%. So if you want to move into the Korean market, or also it's a similar situation in China, then you have to develop the Android version first instead of the Apple version. This is the current trends in the Korean mobile gaming market. Out of the 48, the top 48 games, about the 25 games are RPG games. And then the casual board game is around nine games, and the strategic game is 6, and then the 5 sports games. So not like to the Western mobile gaming market. In the Korean gaming market, most of the people play the RPG on a mobile phone, which is very unique trend. And then I think this trend will follow in the Western market as well. So I think this will give you a little bit of the insight to what you have to do in the next couple of years. Okay. So how to distribute your games in Korea? I mean, this will be must be related to your previous session, that how to they develop the sale or publish the game in the Asian market or Japanese market. I think this is nearly the same, and then most of the games are remotely published, and then some of those examples are Supercell, King, and then the Colopi and those kind of games, game publishers. They may manage it remotely. Some of them have been successful, and some of them are not. And then out of all those games that all of these publishers, there's some problem with this kind of way, is that the local operation is very limited because they are not present in the market. And then most of the time that they have a problem with the localization. So most of these games doesn't need much the languages or the text or whatever. But the problem is that the Korean gamers are very picky, and that they want the best attention from the publishers. So if they ask something and then the answer is not satisfactory, they just turn out to be very negative, the customer, so that makes a little bit trouble to the publisher. So you have to take a good care of these kind of gamers. And the second way is that work with the local publishers. That with that you can have a low risk. But of course, you have to share the profit with the local publisher, so it will give you the lower return. But this is relatively safe, and then most of the Chinese games are doing this way, that they're working with the Korean publishers. It was pretty successul, and then the many Korean publishers like Nexon, Neowiz, or the other publishers, they bring the Chinese game to the Korean market, and then it was pretty successful. And then, but the problem is that the communication cost is very high, and then the publisher can be intrusive and then overly demanding. So you have to make a balance. They demand a lot, but after that, when it turns out to be a flop, and then they don't care very much. And then, of course, as I said, the return is very low. And then the third one is that setting up a branch, but you have to be very brave to do that, and it will cost very high. And some of the companies like Gumi, Gree, or the Kabam, Kunlun, they developed they set up the Korean branch offices. And then some of them are very successful, and because of their dedications and their local partners and the local staffs, they take care of the Korean gamers very well. And then, of course, the lessons, what they learned from there, they can expand it to the Japan or the China or the other Asian market as well. Most of these companies are, of course, they came from Japan, and they know the Asian market and they know the Korean market, so they invested a little more on the Korean market. And but the other side is that it will cost much more for them. Also, managing the branches and hiring the people is could be the headache in some cases, and the cost of operation is expensive, and the take time to find the right. You need to take a time to find the right people. Here is the Korean current status of the Korean gaming market, and then right now that of course the big publishers in Korea accounts for about nearly over the quarter of the total market. Like Nexon, on NHN, on those kind of Sunday Toast, they are very take a high share, and their position is very strong. But also the small studios, there are many small studios, and they develop the new games, and then getting popular, and they're expanding the more shares, and from the last month to this month, and then about 1% of the market share growth took place for the smaller studios. And then I think that is very much encouraging for the smaller studio. And then when they are lucky, then they are picked up by the larger the publishers or the overseas publishers as well. And then right now, that as you see, that the Chinese market is very big, but their publishers' power is very strong as well. So especially the power of the Tencent are phenomenal, and then they demand a lot, and then most of the time, small publishers don't get enough share, or they don't get enough profit, even after following all the demanding rules from the Tencent or other publishers. So it is less and less attractive for the local publishers, local developers, small developers. So and then also we have a little bit of the problem, the Korean market has a little bit problem with the Chinese government, and then they don't allow the Korean gaming developers or publishers to get the permission. So I mean, now everybody has developed it recently for the Chinese market, but it didn't turn out very nice. So that most of the developers or the publishers right now turn out goes looking for the other market other than the Chinese. So they are coming to the Europe or closely Japan, Southeast Asia, but also Europe, East Europe, or the United States market as well. So I think it is a good good point, or the good development even after all the bad situation. And then we have a little bit the technical issue. Well, it's a natural issue within the mobile game, but as the mobile game goes to the RPG games, they cannot play as they spend a long time in the mobile game. So they put the autoplay function for the most of the RPG games, so which is quite an interesting technical issue, but now that everybody accept that as a fair way of the playing, so this is a new way of the RPG games on mobile, and there was a regulation on a chance item or the lottery item, that is that you can most of the Korean games are free-to-play games, and that they sell the items. But they are not only selling the normal items, but they make this kind of a lottery items, that you buy items without knowing what's in the box, and then if you're lucky, you have a better item. If you're not lucky, that you have nothing. So they developed this kind of way of the monetizing the gamers. And this makes a lot of issue because some developers use too much of these items, and it becomes a lottery, and then the kids are spending too much money on it's a kind of betting. So it is not morally accepted by most of the parents, and this is strongly regulated. And then that brings an issue among the developers. And the new trend is of developing the game in Korean market is that they developed a lot of the webtoon based. The Korean likes to read the cartoon on the mobile phone, and there are many popular webtoons around. And then many mobile developers are mostly also worked for the webtoon company, and that they develop the mobile game based on that, and that it becomes very popular. So this is a new market as well. And then because of the mobile games get bigger, and then the gaming developers are more larger and larger, and there are many indies also were existing, in the Korean market, which was not very at the same situation before. But right now, the more indie developers are working or dominant in a Korean market as well. And then there are a lot of the new games developed with the existing IP. Like Lineage, and then the NCSoft, the owner of the Lineage, has licensed their mobile, the game IP to the game publishers like Netmarble, and they developed the Lineage Revolution, and it became very popular. And then NC itself also developed another variation of the Lineage, which called the Lineage M, which become very popular. And then altogether, it created really about $1 billion market out of only these two mobile games. And then also as I told you before, that mobile game become more and more RPG-based games. And then recently, Korea has developed very popular PC-based online games called Black Desert and then the Battleground. And then I think this game, when it's popular, then I think the similar situation will happen. So, okay, this is the wrap-up of the Korean market. And then I want to introduce a little bit of the G-Star as well. G-Star is the Korean the game show, like the Gamescom or E3. And then it has been established since 2005. So it is 12th year this year. And then the last year that there were about over 200,000 visitors, and then nearly 2,000 trade visitors, and 653 exhibitors from 35 countries. And this year that it will take place in the small port city, actually large port city in Korea called Busan, between the 16th to 19th of November. In Busan, Korea. And I would like to recommend you to come to the G-Star when you have a chance, because it's actually one-stop solution for entering the Asian and the Korean market. It is a very nice way to meeting the people, all the industry people in Asia and Korea. And you can meet the really large publishers, mobile publishers like Nexon or the Smilegate or the Netmarble, all those kind of famous names that people are there. So you can show, if you are the mobile developer, you can show your games and then talk with them. And then it's a good opportunity for you. And then not only the meeting the industry people, you can get a feeling of the Korean and Asian gaming market, which is very difficult to feel when you are sitting here or in the Western market. Well, their culture is different, and of course the city is different. It's much more populated. Is very crowded compared to especially compared to the Helsinki or other the Western cities. And then, for example, most of the cities in the Asia, like Tokyo, Shanghai, Peking, or the Seoul, all are over the 10 million people, more than 10 million populations. So that that's why that how they play, how what they play, what they talk, think, those kind of cultural thing is very important to enter into the Korea. If you develop your mobile game here and then just post on the Google Play, then that's not enough. I think that it's better if you aim at the Asian market. You have to be there and then see what the people think. And then the final one that I think very interesting for the Busan, the G-Star, is that it's held in the Busan. Busan is a very southern port city of Korea, and then which is very nicely located, and then the exhibition center and then the hotel area in the beach is very close. And then most of the time that you meet the people in the exhibition during the time, but much more networking opportunity during the party near the beach area after the exhibition. So you can meet a lot of people during the party and then getting close to each other. And then if you participate 2 or 3 times, you really become a very close friend, and you can develop the many business opportunities. That's why I think that I would like to recommend you to come to Korea. Okay, maybe can you play this video just to? Okay, I think that my time is up. So if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Don. Is there any questions for Don about the Korean market or G-Star? Oh, there's one down the front here.
Yeah.
Why don't you have my mic?
Hi. Okay.
Hi.
So my name is Walid. My question is that what are the synergies for Finnish mobile game companies in Korea? Like where do you see them? Where do you see the fit?
Okay, I think both is my personal thinking, but both Finnish company and the Korean company doesn't know each other, right? I mean, actually the Supercell is very big and very famous, and they really take a good advantage of the Korean market or Asian market, as well as other worldwide market. But most of the Finnish developer doesn't know really very much about the Asian market, whereas Korean publishers doesn't know much about the Finnish developers' capability, what they can think, how they develop or the process something. I think both are very big players in both world, but they don't know each other. that is, I think, the very big gap between two cultures. So if you introduce what you can do, I think that the Finnish developer have a very unique, the merits or the advantage over the other developers. So I want you to introduce yourself to the Korean market about your capabilities. Yeah.
Thank you very much.